I can't believe how tall he is. My eyes were kind of going into his nipples and stuff.
You say this is the biggest upset that's going to be in boxing history, right up there with 42-1 with Buster Douglas.
Yep. And that's because I'm tricky, I'm sneaky, and I'm fast. You know, I beat him in laser tag when we first met in Dubai. He didn't see me coming. I was popping around the corners, shooting him non-stop, eliminated him multiple times. I'm bringing that same energy here. First round hit.
Nobody expected Andrew Tate to be the one praising Jake Paul, yet that's exactly what happened, and it left everyone stunned.
Jake has more money than 99% of professional boxers on the planet. He has a full-time training camp. He lives with a full-time gym, full-time trainers. He's dedicated his life to the sport for nearly 7 or 8 years. That's a professional boxer.
Instead of tearing into Paul the way many assumed he would, Tate surprised the reporter by expressing nothing but admiration for Paul stepping into the ring with someone as dangerous as Anthony Joshua. It wasn't the harsh judgment people predicted. In fact, Tate made it clear that whatever issues existed in the past, he wasn't hanging on to any hostility. He looked at the matchup, evaluated the challenge Paul was taking on, and decided that anyone daring to face a fighter like Joshua deserved respect.
Jake's the same size. And Jake isn't a YouTuber. Everyone needs to stop talking like Jake is a YouTuber. Jake is a boxer. Jake has more money than 99% of professional boxers on the planet. He has a full-time training camp. He lives with a full-time gym, full-time trainers. He's dedicated his life to the sport for nearly 7 or 8 years. That's a professional boxer. He's an ex-YouTuber. And this whole narrative, I'm just a YouTuber, is a really good sales tactic because Jake is a boxer.
For Tate, the whole narrative shifted the moment Paul agreed to fight an elite heavyweight. He wasn't interested in revisiting old drama or throwing insults. His attention went straight to the courage required to accept a fight against someone with Joshua's resume. Despite Paul's earlier jabs and Logan Paul's public dislike of him, Tate brushed it all aside. In his view, personal beef didn't matter when someone was willing to put themselves in real danger for a sport they believe in. His only wish was that both men walked out of the ring healthy, especially since he understood the financial appeal for Paul, who could treat this fight as a retirement-level payday if things went south. Tate had seen too many fighters leaving the ring damaged, so he focused entirely on their well-being rather than any backstory.
Jake Paul fighting Anthony Joshua. Anthony Joshua will smash him. Jake's, I guess, a friend of mine. He's an acquaintance of mine now. I speak to him sometimes. I respect him, and he's done something very difficult. A lot of people in his position would have just cashed out, got fat, got hooked on drugs, ended up sleeping with some stars, waste their life away. You know, he dedicated himself to fight sports, which is something I did in reverse. I was dedicated to fight sports back when no one cared. No, I was a nobody, fighting for almost no money. I went on to build my business and build my online platform. He built his online platform on being a jack, dancing around in Pokemon costumes. YouTube was new, from the right place at the right time, from this sneakerhead management, etc. I don't want to take anything away from it, but I'm giving him massive credit for moving the soft life into the difficult fighter's life. Anthony Joshua, I actually sparred Anthony Joshua 3 years ago, yeah. Anthony Joshua single-handedly saved the reputation of heavyweight boxing. He beat the fuck out of Jake Paul.
While Tate's comments caught everyone off guard, the conversation around the fight didn't stop there. As the event drew closer, more people with inside knowledge of Paul's journey weighed in, including his former trainer BJ Flores. Flores had seen Paul from the very beginning, from the days he was learning the basics to his rise as a marketable crossover boxer. He knew Paul was still young in the sport, with only 13 professional bouts. Most of those opponents had been chosen with marketing value in mind. Older legends, retired MMA stars, or names that drew attention without posing extreme danger. Paul had even managed a win over a nearly 60-year-old Mike Tyson, something that stirred plenty of controversy because of the age gap, but still boosted Paul's profile.
I mean, it's a tough question to answer. It's on paper, it looks like a very, very tough fight. And, to anybody in the industry, Anthony Joshua is a world champion, a gold medalist. This is a big difference from, anybody else that, Jake's fought in the past. But, he's looking for these big challenges. He wants to fight the toughest guys. And I think with Anthony Joshua, he got exactly that. I mean, Anthony Joshua is a guy I would have never dreamed in a million years Jake would have fought him in his 5th year boxing in a fight situation like this. I thought he would have given it a little more time, but I mean, this is an extremely difficult fight. Anthony Joshua is 6'6", 245 pounds, extremely dangerous, gold medalist, world champion, and I think this is a very, very difficult fight for Jake, so I wouldn't have made this fight, no.
But this time was different. When Paul signed on to face Anthony Joshua, Flores couldn't hide his disbelief. Even he admitted that in Paul's 5th year of boxing, he never imagined a scenario where Paul would be standing across from a former Olympic gold medalist and 2-time unified heavyweight champion. The size difference alone was enough to make him hesitate. Joshua stood around 6'6", weighed roughly 245 pounds, and carried the kind of power that finished fighters like Dillian White. Kubrat Pulev and Vladimir Klitschko. Flores didn't criticize Paul's heart, but from a strategic standpoint, he wouldn't have arranged the matchup himself. He saw almost no realistic path for Paul to win based on the experience gap, and he knew most people in the industry felt the same.
Well, I mean, you got to go up when you go off the resumes. That's what I go off of. A lot of people will say potential, like, oh, this could happen, this could happen. I only go off like who's beating who. So if you look at it on paper, it doesn't look like Jake has any chance on paper, but I think that's probably why he wanted to make this fight. And like I said, I'm not in the camp, so I don't know all the conversations that are going on in camp Jake Paul right now. But on paper, this looks like an extremely difficult fight. And any boxing experts, that I've talked to, whether it's former fighters or whoever, they don't give Jake any chance at all. I'm not saying he doesn't have any chance. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying that, everybody in the know-how as far as the boxing world, they're like, Jake has zero chance to win this fight. And, it is on paper, though. It does seem like it's early. And it does, seem like it's premature, in my opinion.
Flores wasn't the only one to analyze the fight from a technical perspective. Heavyweight David Adelea, who had spent time sparring with Joshua and had seen Paul train up close, shared a more measured take. Adelea wasn't the type to give dramatic commentary. Instead, he explained Paul's strengths based on what he had witnessed in the gym. He described Paul as someone willing to learn, ask questions, push himself physically, and listen to instruction. Although many people still called Paul a YouTuber, Adelea saw a man who invested heavily in his athletic development. Paul had the best trainers, top-tier nutritionists, personal chefs, and strength and conditioning experts supporting him. He trained full-time, took his preparation seriously, and approached boxing with real dedication. Even so, Adelea acknowledged that Paul asked for this fight for a reason, and the world would soon see what the reason was.
Lawrence was sparring Jake Paul. Were you there as well, or?
No, man, I'm in Dubai right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I know I can't remember if you were part of his camp at one point, or...
I was in the gym with them.
You didn't spar him, right?
No.
So what do you think? You've obviously sparred Joshua. What's going to happen?
Good fight. I'm not the worst person. I always give political answers, don't I? I just sit back. But it's a good fight. I think. And look, Jake Paul knows why he asked for AJ. So we'll see what happens December 19th, right?
What was it like when you trained with him? Did he surprise you?
Who, Jake? He's a learner. He wants to listen. He asks questions. He does dig deep. Whatever's asked of him, he tries to provide. Look, everyone calls him a YouTuber, but this is a man with a lot of money, so he's obviously paid for the best of everything. So he's one of the best trainers, nutritionists, chefs, S&C coaches. He's studying the sport. He's a full-time athlete now.
As the anticipation built, another storyline started circulating, the rumor of a leaked script predicting the outcome of the fight. Boxing fans latched onto the idea that Paul's fights had been staged before, and when a so-called script appeared online, it sparked a flood of speculation. The accusations grew strong enough that Eddie Hearn stepped in to shut them down. Hearn, chairman of Matchroom Sport and the man promoting the fight, couldn't have been clearer about how impossible a scripted professional boxing match would be. Betting regulations, sanctioning bodies, and commissions made any kind of fight fixing illegal. Beyond that, he emphasized how absurd it would be for any camp to try and dictate specific actions in the ring. While dismissing the rumors, Hearn described the realistic expectation of how the fight would unfold. He believed Joshua would walk straight to the center once the bell rang, unleash his power early, and try to end the fight as soon as possible. He didn't entertain the idea of carefully crafted rounds or choreographed exchanges. As far as he was concerned, Joshua was going to go in, take care of business, and leave no room for doubt. He also mentioned that the fight conditions made things even more interesting. 8 rounds, 10-ounce gloves, and a weight limit under 245 pounds for Joshua, who had recently been fighting around 255.
Are you getting questions about people asking you if AJ Paul is scripted?
Yes. I mean, I don't one, it's completely illegal, right? It's a sanctioned fight where people can place bets on the fight. It's completely illegal to have any kind of script. We would never, could you imagine a conversation? Oh yeah, hi Eddie, and what we're gonna do is we're gonna come out in the second round, right? We're gonna throw a jab. Like, let me tell you what's gonna happen. Let me tell you the script for AJ against Jake Paul. The bell's gonna go, AJ's going to go out, take the middle of the ring, and he's going to unload the heaviest artillery on Jake Paul's chin he can as quickly as possible. And he's going to knock him spark out. If you think this is scripted, wait till you see what happens on December 19th, because you will go, shock me. One thing's for sure.
The conversation expanded even further when former UFC champion Sean O'Malley, a friend of Jake Paul, shared his own emotional reaction to the matchup. O'Malley didn't sugarcoat how dangerous he felt the situation was. He had seen fighters suffer life-altering knockouts, concussions that lingered for years, and head trauma that changed the way people moved, talked, and lived. For him, watching Paul step in front of someone with Joshua's punching power felt terrifying. He respected Paul's willingness to take risks and chase massive opportunities, but he couldn't help feeling uneasy. To him, just making it to the final bell, surviving 8 rounds without being badly hurt, would be a huge victory for Paul, even without winning on the scorecards.
I'm done. AJ versus Jake Paul. Do you see the size difference between Anthony? Do you see how fucking
He's a
huge
monster,
that guy
bro.
is?
Yeah.
6'6", 265.
That's huge, dude.
So they're making him come down to 240 or 245.
That gives me so much respect for Paul though, because I was always just like, he's up fighting like all these old people, or Tyson. Yeah. I mean, Tyson's still beast, but this dude's
old hell.
I know, but this guy.
He's not had a single matchup even close to this.
Yeah, this is. I mean, this fight as a friend of Jake is like, I'm scared. Yeah. Like, dude, these are like getting knocked out by someone like that changes lives. It doesn't change just your career path. It doesn't go, maybe I don't box. It can change lives. It can change the way you think. Getting knocked out, bad concussions are scary. Your brain, you have one fucking brain. And if he's willing to go out there and fight, and like, that is absolutely fucking insane.
As people debated strategy, risk, and pressure, former heavyweight champion David Haye kept his analysis short and direct. Haye knew exactly what heavyweight power felt like from a personal experience, and he didn't bother with complicated technical breakdowns. What mattered to him was the threat Joshua carried in every punch. A single clean shot from a heavyweight of Joshua's caliber, in his opinion, could change everything instantly. He didn't go into footwork, patterns, or defensive tactics. He simply highlighted the raw danger behind every punch Joshua threw.
I'm a massive fan of anything that brings eyeballs to boxing. Anything that gets people who may not be interested in boxing to start watching boxing. I'm for that. I want to fan that flame. I think he's going to lose, but if he can you imagine if he somehow finds a way to win?
Is it legacy damaging for AJ?
No, it won't affect his legacy. If he goes out there and knocks Jake Paul out in 1 round, no one's going to think of it any worse of him than before. Yeah.
Tim Bradley saw the psychological component as the real story. Bradley believed Paul chose this fight because they sensed vulnerability in Joshua, signs of inconsistency, injuries, or mental strain that had surfaced in recent years. Joshua had gone through difficult losses and periods where his confidence seemed shaken. Bradley understood why some people viewed Joshua as no longer invincible, but he still believed the climb was too steep for Paul. Experience mattered, championship rounds mattered, years of discipline mattered. Even if Joshua wasn't the same fighter he once was, Bradley felt that Paul didn't yet have the tools to overcome someone who had operated at the highest level for so long.
Oh yeah, Tim Deadstone Bradley, you already know the rest. Oh, did y'all see? Did y'all see what Mike Coppinger said? Oh, is it true? Is it real? Ooh, hey, I like this fight way better. Fake Jakey Paul and Dirty Love. They did it again. They got another guy in there that's a little bit of weak-minded. One that might even sell his soul a little bit for that money. Yeah, and go ahead and lay down for Jake Paul. Yeah. Man, this is supposed to be an easy fight for a dude named Anthony Joshua, a dude that did 24 rounds with freaking Usyk, a guy that knocked out Ngannou, one of the baddest mans on the planet. Boy, this is supposed to be easy licking for him. Easy money. Shoot, if he go in there and be who he is, right? An experienced Olympic gold medalist, an experienced fighter that he is, bigger than Jake Paul, stronger than Jake Paul, got more skill than Jake Paul. He's supposed to serve Jake Paul. But if he don't go in there and serve Jake Paul, then you know what it is, guys. Yeah, our question's gonna be answered. Yeah, straight up scripted, straight up WWE. Yeah. Ain't nobody can say nothing different to me. Oh yeah, because Anthony Joshua, he's supposed to smash Jake Paul. Period. Smash him. Yeah. Easy work. That's what it's supposed to be like. But if he go in there and he struggle, yeah, and he find himself on the canvas looking for a mouthpiece or something, oh man, come on now. And you know Jake Paul, he signed that NDA. He signed his little rights away and was like, oh, I'll take a dive for 40 million. No problem. I'll take a dive. I don't care. All I care about is the money. All I care about is myself. I don't really care about the sport itself. I'm over the sport. Yeah, and then we know. We know, guys. But yeah, I'm definitely tuning in for this one. Oh yeah, I'll be watching closely. But anyways, yo, that's my time. And I'm Tim Desert Storm Bradley, and I'm out.
Another experienced voice, Tony Bellew, leaned even harder into the experience argument. Bellew struggled to imagine any portion of the fight where Paul would be in control. The disparity in skill, timing, physical attributes, and high-level fights seemed too overwhelming. Bellew didn't dismiss Paul's improvements or his work ethic, but he viewed Joshua as a polished heavyweight with too many advantages stacked in his favor. For him, the fight wasn't a question of if Joshua would finish it, but when.
What happens when I think we both know, but for the sake of saying it specifically, if the two of them do collide in the ring.
Josh and Jake.
Yeah.
I don't believe it. I don't believe a single thing until I see him in the ring. I don't believe any. Even if they come together for a press, I don't believe it. I don't genuinely believe he will climb into a boxing ring with 10-ounce gloves on with Anthony Joshua. It won't happen. It can't.
Hypothetically, if it does, how long does it last?
As long as Josh wants it to. Simple as that. As long as he wants it to. The same way it did with Floyd Mayweather and Conor McGregor. The same way it did with Anthony Joshua and Francis Ngannou.
Then came Dana White, who approached the matchup from an entirely different angle. White didn't try to break down tactics or compare resumes. Instead, he emphasized the entertainment factor. In his eyes, people weren't paying attention because they expected a technical masterpiece. They were watching because for the first time, Paul was going up against someone young, powerful, and capable of causing real damage. White saw the fight as a spectacle built on curiosity, the moment people had been waiting for ever since Paul began calling out big names. To him, this was the first time Paul would face someone who could test him without the caveat of age or retirement attached.
See the fight that's reportedly being worked on for December 19th in Miami.
Did I see the fight being worked on December 19th in Miami?
Yeah.
No.
Do you know which fight I'm talking about?
No.
Fair enough.
Oh, Jesus. That's a bad idea. That's a bad idea. But let me tell you what. A lot of people watch that one.
Will you watch it?
Sure. You know what everybody's tuning in for on that one. I think everybody's going to get what they've finally been waiting for.
Adding to the conversation, Andy Ruiz Jr., one of the few fighters who had actually knocked Joshua out, kept his perspective simple. Ruiz believed Paul's best hope was landing a sharp, unexpected right hand, the same kind of punch Ruiz used to shock the world in 2019 when he dropped Joshua multiple times. Ruiz recognized the enormous physical gap between the two, but he also appreciated Paul's dedication and the way he committed himself to training. Ruiz wasn't predicting an upset, but he offered the clearest piece of tactical advice Paul could use.
Listen, Jake Paul had his face-off today with Anthony Joshua.
Oh, yeah.
He called himself Andy Ruiz 2.0.
Oh,
so
nice.
I gotta ask, what advice would you give to him, like, technically?
I think just having faith, man. Having faith, don't be scared, and do what you gotta do, you know? Ask God for that victory, and He will come through, and just be fearless, you know? That's what you gotta do. You gotta be fearless and give it all you got, you know?
Any secret to, like, you know, boxing a guy like
just get
Joshua?
him with the right hand. That's what Jake Paul's looking for, the right hand. And if he lands, he could do good damage. So a lot of people underestimate Jake Paul, but in reality, he's a good fighter and he's dedicated, and that's what I like about him.
You get on the phone with Jake before the fight?
I haven't, but I'm gonna hit him up. And try to give him some little pointers, huh?
Whether the fight ends quickly, lasts all 8 rounds, or produces a shocking moment, one thing is certain. The world will be watching, waiting to see if Paul's confidence and preparation can carry him through the most dangerous challenge of his career, or if Joshua's power will deliver the ending so many are predicting.